Rajeev Agrawal is now joining us. He's managing partner and fund manager at DoorDarshi India Fund. Rajeev, good morning. Good to have you with us here on CNBC as always. So what's top of mind this time of the year, except thinking about holidays and going away and end of the year and thinking about the new one? It's been an incredible year, right? At almost 30% for US stocks, and even Europe, I was looking. It was looking like it's gone to the dogs, but the DAX this year now is up 22%, which is not bad. So it's quietly in a stealth way come up very nicely. And of course, here in India, we've had a good year once again. So your thoughts, Rajeev?
Yeah, I think the overall markets have done very well across the world, Prashant. And I think we are seeing that across various indices that you referred to. I think top of mind clearly is the FOMC meeting that is coming up this week. And in fact, there are a lot of other meetings across various central banks in the coming week. Clearly, FOMC, I think the verdict from most of the analysts is out there that the Fed will cut rate by 25 basis points. But really, it becomes much more interesting as we get into January and how Donald Trump policy measures start playing out for the economy and how the Fed will react subsequent to that. I think that will be much more interesting. On the India front, I can talk about the India front, but I will see if you have any specific question here.
Okay, so what's the outlook for India? We were just listening to the Nomura view from Chetan Seth, and he's talking about headwinds for generally Asia ex-Japan, at least in the first half of the year, due to policy uncertainty, fiscal restraint by China, the fact that the monetary policy may not be as loose as what was previously expected a few months back. And then you've got a stronger dollar to contend with. Would you concur broadly for the emerging markets and including markets like India, the first half of the year could be headwinded?
I think first half of the year next year will be challenging more in terms of how US policy measures will impact these economies. The one thing that we have already started seeing is the US dollar being very strong because the flows have come out of the emerging markets and moved to US. I mean, in fact, last week, 39 out of the 41 countries, there was an outflow from those countries, and it was primarily going into US. So I think there is a possibility that as Trump measures comes in, there will be possibly the movement of flow from these emerging markets and developed markets into the US. But as that settles down, I think it will be much more stock-specific and market-specific is what we're expecting.
Hi, Rajeev. Good morning and good to see you. Ben, you've generally liked the banking as well as NBFC space. You mentioned a few, some of those housing finance companies, the gold finance company, Manappuram, which has bounced back. Are you a little bit worried about the commentary that we're getting with regard to asset quality, with regard to the offtake that we've seen that has slowed down a little bit? That's the loan growth. And of late, what have you added? Manappuram saw a sharp correction, but you've been quite positive on that, and it's bounced back very, very well.
Yeah, sure. So I think we actually continue to be bullish on the banking and finance space. We think that is a space which has, from a valuation perspective, there's still a lot of value out there because the prices in our mind have actually corrected much more than what the inherent value of those companies are. Speaking specifically about Manappuram, and we own that particular stock, we think that Manappuram has done well in terms of the stock price. But right now, the big concern that is there for that particular stock is when do they come out of the regulatory constraint they have been put on, which is the Ashirwad subsidy. I think the gold loans are doing well. And they also have the other secured book, which is growing well, which is a housing finance as well as a vehicle finance. So I think the secured portion of their book is growing very well, but it is much more of an issue on the MFI side. And then coming to the MFI side, I think we have definitely seen quite a bit of asset quality issues on the MFI and the unsecured book, be it the credit card, the personal loan, and the MFI. And I do think those are the areas that we need to be watchful for. My expectation is that the economy, which we had a little bit of a surprise in Q2, will start performing. And as that performs and as the agriculture and the crop output is good, some of the issues that we are seeing gradually gets settled over the next few quarters.
Okay, well, Rajeev, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you here and hearing your thoughts as always. Appreciate it. Well, that's Rajeev from DoorDarshi India Fund with this perspective.